get to be any little thing that we want to be. No matter what comes our way, we'll be together, together.
Welcome to Homeschooling Down South. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kat. We're two Southern homeschooling mamas sharing real talk, resources, and inspiration for life and learning in the Southeast.
Each week, we'll chat with inspiring voices in the homeschool community, highlight must-see nature spots and field trip gems, and share resources from across the region.
Whether you're new to homeschooling or a seasoned pro, pull up a chair and join us as we celebrate the joy, freedom, and community of homeschooling down south.
We'll laugh together, we'll learn together, find the joys in life together, give each other grace and space to be.
All this month, we're celebrating Sarah Ernst, creator of Wild Pickle Press and friend of the podcast. Sarah's books and music seek to empower kids. Visit Sarah's world of story and song at wildpicklepress.com, where you'll find uplifting, imaginative, and wonder-filled content for the whole family. Sarah says music is sticky, so make sure what sticks is good, and we're excited and thankful for Sarah's music to stick right here on the podcast as our theme song. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do. Welcome back to Homeschooling Down South. We're so excited you're with us this week because we are talking to one of our favorite people here in Northwest Georgia, Betsy Manley, who not only runs but created Thrive Northwest Georgia. Welcome, Betsy. We're excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. Hi.
So, Betsy, there's so much that we want to talk about. I first want to make sure that we get the acronym for Thrive. Can you tell us what Thrive stands for?
Stands for the Homeschoolers Resource for Interesting and Valuable Enrichment.
Love it. And full transparency, Kayla and I both have our kids in Thrive. We have both been Thrive teachers and we help out. So we're excited to share this conversation because Thrive has meant so much to us as well. So,
And you say you help out, like y'all help a lot. It's not just a little bit of help that y'all give. I really appreciate
How did you come up with the acronym?
ChatGPT. Sorry.
I love
Kat.
it.
no,
I mean,
Kayla's
okay.
converted me. I use AI now sometimes.
Let me be. I ask when I use chat, I ask it to give me like 15 options, and then I'll be like, "Ooh, I like those 3. Give me more like that." And I think that ultimately the Thrive thing was me. It came out of my brain, but it was because of like a fake. My son would say a fake conversation with a fake entity. But that's what got like my juices flowing. But I landed on that from a conversation with ChatGPT.
It's cool because
Okay.
like
I
Thrive
did-
is such a good word.
I wanted it to be something I could put on a T-shirt because honestly, even if Thrive failed, I still had all these shirts with Thrive all over it, I wanted it to still be a shirt I would wear even if we didn't continue. But we did, so.
The practical mindedness of that as well. But Thrive is a great word. Like I want my kid to thrive, right? So like this program is called Thrive, and I will be honest. When I originally heard about it, word of mouth from Kayla, I thought it was called Thrive because like our kids are going to thrive. And then as I've started to help out more, you've educated me that it's an acronym, and it's so cool. So we're going to dig into all about Thrive. But we got to know more about Betsy and her homeschool first.
So I have 4 homeschooled children. Well, one's 2, but if you've got multiples, like the 2-year-old's right in there with us, so it counts as 4. Even though the 10-year age gap between my oldest and my youngest, but she thinks that she is doing 7th grade math. So I have a 12, 10, 4, and 2-year-old. All either just had a birthday or about to. So we're in 7th grade, 4th grade, pre-K, and toddler. And I know a lot of homeschoolers don't do grades. I just know what grade they're in because they go to church, and so I know what grade classroom they're in at church. But we do. I would say we're pretty eclectic in our style. Do 4 weeks on, 1 week off, so we can kind of take that week off to rest, but also for me to adjust. And I'm very gung ho about like individual interests and studying, especially with my older kids, studying things they're actually interested in. And when we first started homeschooling, I said, "What do you guys want to learn about?" And they tried to call my bluff, and they were like, we want to learn about poop, because they thought that I would be like, "No, I'm picking the topic." Guys, we spent 6 weeks studying like how to recognize animal scat and your digestive system and how to recognize how to, like, gauge your health based on what your poo-poo looks like, until they were like, "We've had enough, please. Can we study something else?" I'm serious, y'all, or we're gonna let you learn what you wanna learn about. So I let them kinda guide that, but then I'm pretty structured about math and language arts because that's just me. But yeah, we're pretty eclectic. We do what works for us today.
Did you always kind of have it in your mind that homeschooling was going to be your path, or did that just like come about?
When I got married, my husband was before we got married, I want 4 kids and I wanna homeschool them. So, I would say it was pretty much always.
That's awesome.
I love that. Okay, so you're at what point in your homeschool journey, where were you in your homeschool journey when the idea of Thrive was born?
So when we first started homeschooling, my oldest was 4, and so I'd started doing, like, homeschooly stuff for pre-K, and then he went to a hybrid homeschool program for all of kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and then half of 3rd grade, and then we moved to Gordon County, and my daughter was halfway through kindergarten, so she did half of kindergarten at that hybrid model. We got up here and there just really wasn't anything like that. There was the co-op in Whitfield County. I know y'all have talked to Peggy. I didn't know about it though. I couldn't find it. And so I just started trying to meet homeschool friends in the area, and I found the Gordon County Homeschool Families Facebook group, and I planned a pool party, and at that pool party I was talking to Misty, who was our first Thrive teacher, and I told her, like, I told her all about the stuff my kids had been able to do in their hybrid program, and I was like, I would love to just do the extracurriculars. Like, I'm homeschooling because I want to teach math. I want to teach language arts. Like, not necessarily that I want to teach it, but I know that that's so individual with how quickly you progress that I don't want my kids to do that in a classroom. I don't love to teach math, but I do love that. For example, recently my oldest said, "Can I start my math book over?" Because I wasn't taking it seriously. I'm a quarter of the way through, and I can't do this stuff because I actually didn't learn it the first time. I was like, very wise of you, and
Wow.
yes, of course you
Yeah.
can swim. So he started over, but he wouldn't have been able to do that if he was at a co-op that taught math,
Sure.
you know? So I wanted to just do the not academic stuff, the stuff that, like, I loved about school. I feel like, I didn't pull my kids out of school because I hated school or decide to homeschool because I hated schools. But this stuff like PE, that's hard to do with just you and your siblings. Learning Spanish, it's hard to do when you don't have somebody to practice with. Learning to play chess, learning to cook, like all of those things are A, more fun, but also B, easier to learn in a group. And so I don't feel that way about math, and I don't feel that way about language arts. I don't feel that way necessarily about writing. I think those things are better taught one-on-one. But for those, I was telling Misty all about this. Like, I would love to do this. And she was like, I love STEM. I love doing STEM projects. And I was like, I hate STEM. Like, we just don't
Same.
do it because it's messy
Yes.
and I can't control the outcome. Like, I don't like it. I mean, I printed the shirts that said Thrive just in case. And like, I couldn't do it. And she was like, I would love to just get a bunch of kids together and do STEM projects. And then I was like, I want to teach arts and crafts, but my daughter doesn't like it. I would love to have a little arts and crafts class.
At it. Yep.
My oldest was standing there and he was like, I want to do a Lego class because he had done a Lego class in our previous program. And I was like, well, there's 3 class ideas. We figured out 3 more. And then I was a little bit later talking to Heather and told her, we have this great idea. We're going to try to start it at a church in the fall. She was like, I've got 2 empty party rooms that sit empty on Mondays. Why don't y'all come and use those? And so Thrive, she was like, let's start now. And I was like, okay, whoa. And we did. And it was about 25 kids, 6 classes. I taught 2 of them. My husband taught another. Like, it was not big. It was us and our friends and a few people. I don't even know, Kayla, how you found us because it wasn't like we were doing a lot of marketing.
No, I found you because I met you through Little Seedlings. Because when I came up here, again, like you, there
Oh, yeah.
wasn't a lot going on. And so I just Googled homeschool things and like grabbed everything and threw it against the wall to see what stuck. So I met you through there. And then I think I must have seen you post about it in the Gordon County Homeschool Families page. And I'm the same way as you. Like, same but different because I do not love teaching math and language arts. I do it because it's what's best for my child. But I was looking for these things, you Thrive as an enrichment program. And truly, I was looking for these enriching things for them to do that, yes, that's better done in a group setting like that. And I loved that you could like pick and choose and make your own schedule. I thought that was a really cool system.
And that all of those things were because that's what my family needed. Now, we're obviously there all day, but I just thought from the perspective of like homeschool families we homeschool for a reason. We don't homeschool because we want to be put into a different box.
Right.
So I wanted people to be able to come either just for the morning or just for the afternoon or come and take one class or let it be an all-day program for your child. I think sometimes we have families that come at 11, stay through lunch, and then take a 12:30, and so they're there over the lunch break, and they're there more to socialize, which is everybody uses it differently. And that's one thing I love is that no two Thrive families have the same experience of Thrive. It makes marketing hard because everybody has a different experience at Thrive because they all kind of cater their experience to their family. But that was important to me because I wanted that. And I didn't want anybody to feel like they had to come and stay all day. I was like, just come take the class that's interesting to you. But we're going to do it all on the same day of the week so you don't have to drive all over the place, or I've got to be here at 2 and then try to get to here by 3. And I tried to make it easy and try to make it affordable. I couldn't fit affordable into the Thrive acronym, but valuable is there.
Yeah.
Like I want people to leave at the end of the semester going, that was way more value than I expected to get.
Yeah. Whenever I hear you talk about it, I always think it's so brave because it would be so much easier to say, here's a co-op because there's like a model for that and someone else is doing that you could go like just copy them, and like you can buy a curriculum and tell everyone this is what we're using. But that's to say like we're going to build this thing and let it be unique to each family is just like you had a vision and you went for it and there's not necessarily like a cookie cutter that you get to just use, Betsy. Like you are building the cookie cutter for us and it's really cool.
I did borrow some ideas from some other places, but I don't know that there are other. I'm in a group of a lot of co-op leaders, and I've not seen another one where they really just let you come do what you want and use it how you want. Timothy Ministry is kind of similar down in Atlanta, but it's a ministry of a church. So that's another way that we're different. A lot of co-ops are a ministry of a church or they meet at a church. And it was important to me that families of all backgrounds felt comfortable at Thrive. We're Christian, my family, but I do want kids of all faith backgrounds and all socioeconomic backgrounds or whatever it is to be able to homeschool. And if I had to be honest about why, like what drives me when it gets hard, because running an organization like this is hard, is I know that there are families at Thrive that either started homeschooling or are continuing to homeschool that wouldn't if Thrive wasn't here. And homeschooling to me, I used to be in the camp that was like, it's not for everybody. Almost have both feet out of that camp. Like, I think it's right for most families. I can think of some exceptions, but healthy families, I feel like homeschool is the best option if you can make it happen. Not everybody can, I get that, but if I can make it easier by giving you a place to answer that question about what about socialization, giving you a place to get a break, send your kid to a class and sit in a cafe and stare at the wall for a little bit and just make the decision to homeschool a little bit of an easier one. That's very rewarding to me. To know that there are families there that probably wouldn't have continued or started this journey if it weren't for Thrive.
So that's one of the biggest differences between Thrive and a co-op is generally everybody is doing something. If you're in it, you as the parent are required to do something. And generally there's, some curriculum-based things. And so one of the reasons I really like Thrive is because I can send my kid to class. And I am teaching this semester. I didn't last semester. I did the semester before. But if I want to, I'm not doing it out of obligation. And so I think that's one of the really cool aspects of Thrive is that it's not drop off. Ish, you now kind of have an option. There is a responsible adult that you can pay to.
We found a loophole.
But it's not that I'm just like dropping my kid and going home. So I'm still there. I'm still involved and stuff, but there's no obligation for me to teach a class. I can sit in the cafe or sit in my car and get work done, make phone calls, etc. So I'm just curious, what made you decide that that's the model you wanted to go with?
I wanted friends. I mean, if I wanted friends. When we moved here, I genuinely didn't know anybody, and so I was like, I don't wanna run a program where all these people drop their kids off to me, and the only time they hear from me is if something bad happens.
Yeah.
I've gotta call somebody to say, "Oh, your kid was being a ding dong in class today." So, I haven't had to make any of those calls this semester so far. It's been great.
Yay!
Now I better knock on something.
Yeah.
But, but it does help that the parents are right there and the kids know, "I'll take you to your mom and let her deal with you." And I think that's nice for the parents too, to know that I'm not gonna discipline your kid in a way that may not align with your family's values because 'cause I'm just gonna bring them to you. So that was part of it, is that I don't love to discipline other people's children, and so I wanted moms to be there, but truthfully, the main reason was I wanted to have for me to make friends, but also for the moms that are there to make friends. And I think it's been one of the most surprising values that Thrive adds is the relationships that the mothers are creating and the dads that are there are creating while they're waiting in the cafe or while they're outside the Thrive building playing with their littles, with sidewalk chalk. I'm pretty sure this podcast was in some part born there.
Probably.
I know there's or at least it's been fostered there. I know
Mhm.
conversations about this podcast are happening at Thrive,
Yeah.
and I love that. Like, I wanted that. Also wanted the option for parents to be able to teach and use Thrive as an income source if they wanted to pay for their kids' classes, or some of our teachers make money and don't use it to pay for Thrive classes. They use it to support another part of their homeschool journey, but they can also sleep in their cars. Like, we have a mom who works nights and she sleeps in her car. She literally has like a little mattress and she takes a nap while her son goes to class. And I love it. I take pictures. And I make sure she's not like overheated. I don't know if she knows this, but I walk by and like stick my hand in her car to be like, okay, she's not gonna
She's not too
overheat.
hot.
You take such good care of all of us. You take such
But
good care
as
of
I'm
us.
walking by, I'm like, is she okay? But that was a big thing. And then also just, I was in a really great community of moms when my oldest son was first born. That was a breastfeeding community, so very different. But it was really nice for me to see that my kid was normal.
Mm.
And I think homeschool moms need that to go to be around other moms who are homeschooling a kid and go, my kid did not sit for lessons all week. And then somebody goes, mine either. And you're like, oh, it must be the full moon. It's not me. I'm not a bad mom. We'll be on point next week, right? Or we switched curriculums 3 times this year and I feel like such a failure. I feel like most of the Thrive moms that are coming in and participating in the community feel like they're doing a good job homeschooling because they're talking to other moms and seeing that the struggles they're facing are normal.
Yeah, for sure. And this podcast actually was directly born out of a Thrive event. So
Mhm.
because
I thought so.
because Betsy, in addition to running this program, you also have created events around it, in part because it's a nonprofit. And so there's fundraising needs. But you asked Kayla and I to present at this wonderful expo that you have started to put on for our community, for our region. And we had so much fun talking to each other and sharing our ideas with people. And that really was the beginning of this podcast. So yeah, Thrive is actually responsible.
And this is not the only business that's been or organization or whatever you call it that's been born out of Thrive. I watched the moms sit out there and start network marketing businesses and they're baking all day long. It's different groups throughout the day, but moms are now moving and shaking and it's kind of ripple affecting out from Thrive. They're planning field trips, they're planning other meetup groups, but it's happening at Thrive, which I was not expecting, but I love it.
To the point of community, we have been a part of this from the beginning, and it is wild how it has exploded. And I do recognize that, like, homeschooling as a whole, we're seeing more people pull their kids in homeschool. But I think that just now more people are hearing about Thrive and more people are like, oh my gosh, yes, we want this as a part of our homeschool day. So talk to me about that, the evolution of like where it started to where it is now.
Like I said, it started as just us and our friends. We knew We knew almost everybody there. There was nobody at Thrive I hadn't met before, at least once. So it was all, or they were a friend of a friend. There were a couple families that were like invited there by another teacher.
And how long ago was that, Betsy? What year was that?
That's a great question. It wasn't that long. Hold on. That was February of 2024. It was
Oh,
just
wow.
last year. Yeah, I know. Every time I think about it, I'm like, that can't be right, but it is. It
That
was
can't be
24
right.
because that was when you taught, or your
Theater.
kids were there. And then for fall of 25, you taught theater. And
No,
then
fall of
spring, you
24, I
didn't
taught
teach.
theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, fall of 24, you taught theater. Spring of 25, you didn't teach. And then now it's fall of 25. So it's been
Wow.
4 semesters, which I think is what makes it feel like it's been longer.
Sure.
But it started in February of 2024 because I talked to Heather at the end of 2023, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do it now. Let's start in January." And I was like, "Let's say February." So we did, and honestly, if Heather hadn't given me that push off of the ledge, Thrive might not have ever started.
Wow.
But because it was just an idea. But yeah, it hasn't been that long. But we started out, to your question, we started out with just us and our friends. And then that following fall, I did a lot more on social media trying to see if we could make something happen that was more than just, we just had one class an hour and people showed up when they showed up. So we doubled to 50 students that semester, and then in the spring of 25, we moved into the Thrive building because we had 80 kids, and that's too many to put in those 2 party rooms. So we moved into the Thrive building next door. And then this semester we kind of held at 80, which has been good. We're a little past 80 now because we've had some late additions to this year, but I kind of like that. I was hoping to be bigger, but now that we're not, I'm like, I think it's probably a good thing. I do expect us to grow to more like 100 students in the spring. It will have
In
By the
four,
time.
if by the 5th
Yeah.
semester.
By the
Wow.
5th semester, I expect it to have quadrupled,
Wow.
which is, it is a testament to the growth of homeschooling in general.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it is a testament to, this is what homeschool families are looking for. They're not, like I said, they're not pulling their kids out of a traditional school environment so they can put them into another traditional environment. The families that come to Thrive are expecting to teach math, English, science, social studies, reading, the 5 that are required in Georgia, on their own. We are not we might have a class that supports that, like we have a math Olympics class where they learn their math facts, but we are not teaching that class and you can check the box and say we did math because we went to Thrive. I'm sure people do, but that's not what it's designed for. They're looking for community. And that's why the number one question people have when you say you're going to homeschool isn't, well, are they going to learn math? They know.
Right.
22 the numbers just came out that 22% of graduating high school seniors can do math proficiently, 1 in 5.
That's
And 1 in
wild.
3 can read proficiently. So nobody's looking at homeschooling going, I don't know if I can do better than the school system there. If they're looking at the statistics, they know they can do better than the school system. The question mark they have is, will my child have friends? Will my
Right.
child have community? The things that I loved about school, cutting up in the after school care, my best friends were not people I sat next to in math class. They were people I went to church with. They were people I did Girl Scouts with. I sang in choir. We did theater. We did mock trial. We did whatever the, extracurricular. That's where you make friends because you guys have a shared interest. So the friendship is deeper than just like your last name starts with T, my last name starts with T, and our teacher made us sit here. I mean, truly, like, people talk about, what about socialization? I'm like, your kid is in a school building all day with people that came from the same zip code as them, born within 6 to 9 months of their birthday, and happen to maybe, whatever the teacher's method of seating chart, that's how they got to sit together. I saw a teacher recently on TikTok say that she chooses where her kids sit based on their zodiac sign.
That's like, that's choice.
You do you, girl, but that's not how I want my kids to decide who they're going to be friends with, and that's not how you make friends. You
Right.
make friends because you have a shared interest. And so if you read the Thrive mission statement, you'll see that it says to create community for homeschoolers around shared interest. Are we educating students? Yes, but it's a community.
I think that like you're boldly saying what people like tap dance around when we talk about homeschooling. Like People tap
Leave it to me.
people like tap dance around this like what is it that you really think your kid would miss out on at public school? Like what is it really? Cuz it's not really the math lesson because I think we all know that like the math lesson wasn't our favorite. Even if you love math, like sitting in the class about the math lesson was not like your favorite thing. It was the relationships you formed, whether it was on the playground at recess because these are the other kids who wanted to like try really high to try to swing really high, or the other kids who wanted to play. There was that game where the kids would throw the ball against the wall. I don't know what that was, but like, man, all those kids really were
I
like,
read at recess. I don't know what you're talking about. That's why we have book club, Kat.
that's right, because they're readers. We're readers. But you know, you found your other kids who liked to play the way that you did at recess, or you stayed after school and participated in a sport or an art or you know whatever your thing was. That's where those relationships were formed, and that's what I love about Thrive is because I don't particularly want someone else picking out my child's curriculum. Like
Me
I know
neither.
him really well, and I still am like, "Is this the right thing? We're gonna have to try, and it might not work." And I know him really well, but someone's gonna blindly choose curriculum for him? That doesn't feel right. But, "Oh, there's a class about bugs?" Yeah.
I know he'll
That's
like that.
that's an easy yes for me. And maybe, just maybe, probably not, but maybe someone else can do the bug conversations with him, and I can be exempt from that for this
Right.
semester.
Or the bug conversations are gonna pick up a lot
Yeah,
in your house.
they've picked up. They've picked up a
I
lot. That's what
I
should
will
happen.
say I do know that there are homeschoolers who are looking for somebody else to teach math. We see it every day. If you're in any kind of, like, homeschool groups on Facebook or what's the best curriculum? I want one that teaches that I can sit my kid in front of the computer and it teaches, or I can take them somewhere and they teach them. I don't wanna teach math. I can't teach math. I'm not good at math. There are people who are looking for that, but that already existed.
Yes.
What Thrive is did not already exist in our area.
Right.
And there wasn't a way that I could find to just go and find that community piece of homeschooling that I think now that we have it, like now that we have this, I think it's really magical what we've created. And magical might be the wrong word, but it's definitely very special what's happening at Thrive with the communities. And I say communities plural because it does feel like there's like a morning crew and then there's an afternoon crew. There's an
Yeah.
older kids crew and a younger kids crew, which is to be expected, and I don't have any, like, issue with that. But now that we have it, I think all of us would say we couldn't do this without that community. And I
Yeah.
see homeschoolers all the time that give up on their journey of homeschooling, not because they don't think homeschool is what's right for their children, but because they don't think they can do it, or because they just get so discouraged and they don't have that community to come around them and be like, I honestly believe that if I came to Thrive one day and was like, guys, I'm having a really rough week. Can somebody take my kids and do their school with them this week? Somebody would. And I would, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of community that we have, that people, we back each other up. And I see it throughout the day. It's not just one, like I know you guys have obviously your friendship, but there's several of these just little groups that have formed up at Thrive. And I would say if you're listening to this and you go to Thrive and you haven't found your people at Thrive, get out of your car and come inside, because that's where that's happening. And I'm not saying that
Right.
to be ugly, but like, we want you to. I want to meet people. I also want you, if what you need is to sit in your car, do that. If you're like, I already have my crew, I don't need y'all. That's totally fine. Like there's no obligation to come in. But if that's what you're looking for, come in, because it really is special what happens in the cafe and on the porch at Thrive.
It is. So let's tell the people a little bit about like what does being a part of Thrive look like? How does that work for a family? How do they participate? How do they choose their classes? What kind we've talked a little bit, we've touched on some classes, but like what kinds of classes are there?
So we're about to send a message out to our current teachers to be like, who's coming back for the spring? And once I kind of have a schedule, I'll open registration. So registration will reopen for Thrive spring 26 on November 8th at our open house. We'll start registering folks. So if that's something that you're interested in and you have questions, you've got until November 8th to ask questions. And you can do that. Just go into our Facebook group and literally just put it on the wall. I'm fine with that. I trust all the Thrive families to answer those questions, and if something gets off the rails, I'll jump in. But you can just go in the wall of that Facebook group and ask, or you can message me. That's fine too. But you'll register for Thrive, which means you join Thrive. So we are a 501c3. We have members. You join Thrive, you become a member of Thrive. From a kind of technical standpoint, that means you can now vote on different things that our board does. For example, if we do change our fee structure significantly, the members get to vote on that. So you are now officially, technically a member of Thrive, and that means you have access to join Thrive classes. So all of our members will get a link on November 5th, as long as everything works on my end, on the 15th. That'll be where you go and select your classes, and then you only pay for the classes that you take. So you pay to join Thrive. Now you're a member, you have access to the classes, and then you go and select the classes that your child is interested in. And the form one year, and I think it said it this year too, but one of the semesters it said, which class is your child interested in taking this hour? And that's important to me, that it is your child is interested. Don't, I wish my kid would do theater and stick them in theater.
Mhm.
Put them in a class that they want to take. Because it's
Absolutely.
not fair to the other kids in the class to have that are there because they love science, and then your kid's over in the corner like, "I don't like this." It's
Yeah.
not fair to the kids
Yeah.
that do like it. So we ask that you put your kids in classes that they're interested in. And then, I don't have the date in front of me, and I'm sorry, but classes will start in January, late January, and go through April. We don't meet there's a week we don't meet. I think it's spring break we're taking off. Look at the written communication though, because I am not looking at it right now. I'm going from memory. We'll go January to I'm very much in fall mode. So spring will be January to April. And yeah, you'll just come to the classes that your kid signed up for, that your student was interested in. You can come in and hang out in the cafe with us. Probably in January you will, because it'll be cold. We also have a little bit of outdoor seating that a lot of our families with younger kids hang out there and let them do sidewalk chalk and bubbles and hula hoops and whatever else they have in the trunk while big kids are in classes. And then if you're there all day, you might just get real cozy in a corner and camp at Thrive for the day. Or we do now have the option, like Kayla mentioned earlier, we do have Andrina, who is a Thrive volunteer, who you can pay her to be your child's responsible adult. So every Thrive kid has to have a responsible adult on campus. If you can't do it, you can appoint somebody else. You can send grandpa, you can find, like Kayla could ask Kat to do it. But if you need a responsible adult that's not you and you don't have one, Andrina will do it. She has an hourly rate to do that for you so that you can make Thrive into a drop-off program if that's what your family needs. It's just another way that we're trying to give families the option to use Thrive how they want to. And we had a lot of demand for it to be a drop-off program. So we found a loophole because I still don't want to be responsible for your children. But Andrina will.
It's so great. But it's
But
great
that
because
is
it's just responsive.
It is. We
Yeah.
do, and I think that is Thrive has been that. Like, it started out as just a bunch of parents that were like, what do our kids want? And I have just tried to, as much as I can, because you can't make everybody happy, obviously, but as much as I can respond, like if it's a clear, hey, we want this to be a drop off. We've had some other feedback that's been pretty clear that I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do about that. And sometimes the answer is, I'm not going to turn Thrive into something it's not.
Right.
What it is what it is, and if it's not for your family, that's fine, but I can't make everybody happy. And so ultimately, when I'm making these decisions, we have a board of directors that if I'm having trouble making a decision, they'll point me in the right direction, and if it's a big decision, I have to have their approval. Ultimately, those of us on the board are doing this is just how it works. They serve on the board, they get to make a decision that's best for their family. At the end of the day, those of us who are running Thrive, you guys that volunteer a ton, Andrina that volunteers a ton, Whitney, our board of directors, I'm making decisions that are best for the families of the most invested. And that's just how a nonprofit has to run, because I'm not making decisions based on how much money I can make. I'm making decisions based on how can I best serve the families that are most invested here.
I love that.
That's awesome.
So, what piece of advice would you give to somebody, or like your top 3 pieces of advice would you give to somebody who's wanting, if they can't find a program like this in their area and they want to start it, what the top 3 things you would tell them?
So 3 things. One is just do it. If you think about it and plan it and want it all to be perfect before you jump off, then you will never jump. So make it exist and then make it good. Build it as you build the parachute on the way down. And then find the people who support your vision, that are bought into what you're trying to accomplish. They have the same values. They have the same ultimate outcome. They may not do everything the exact same way you do, but you guys have in your minds the same ultimate vision, and let them help you. Accept help. That's really hard for me because I am kind of protective of Thrive now that it's bigger. And then the third one is, for me, this is a calling. And so I wouldn't jump into homeschool anything if you think that's how you're going to make money. This isn't like something I do so I can quit my job. This isn't something I do because I particularly enjoy keeping books for a nonprofit organization and filing all the documentation that you have to file and having the IRS like looking over my shoulder because I've claimed I don't have to pay taxes. Like, I don't particularly enjoy that stuff. I don't particularly enjoy kind of the pressure of I've got to fill these classes now that I told these teachers they could teach them. Like, there's a lot of running Thrive that is not fun, but I do it because it's a calling, and I'm a Christian and I believe this is where God has placed me to serve. And so I would say if you're doing it for any other reason than I love this community and I want to serve this community, then you need to take a seat and let somebody else lead, because it's not going to last, because you're going to be disappointed because it's hard. This is hard and there's not any money in it. So do it because you love it. And I do. I love it. I love these kids. I get so excited. I get chills thinking about just the growth that happens at Thrive, the relationships that grow at Thrive. I love it. I love Mondays. I'm shocked every Monday when I show up and people came. I'm always like, they came, they're all here again, yay. And my husband's like, they did pay. Like, I can't believe they did that. Like, I'm always shocked, but I never lose the awe of like, this is really stinking cool what happened here. And I've said this to you guys before, but I don't feel like I'm in the driver's seat. I feel like I'm in the back seat just going, oh my gosh, where are we going? Slow down.
And the kids really love it. I mean, my kid one day at the end of Thrive said, Mommy, this was the best day of my life.
I love that. We had some kids that were there for the first time this week, and I was like, I have to leave. I've got to go home. And they were still over there in their wilderness survival class. Like, I'm pulling out and they're still doing class stuff because they had left the public school system to homeschool. It was their first day of Thrive, first day of homeschool, and they didn't want to go home.
I love that.
I'm
That's
like, that's
awesome.
why we do it. That's why.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Can I have one more burning question? I know because I'm a teacher that classes are different every semester. But if you could give the people just like 3 to 5 examples of the kinds of classes that the kids just like really go gaga for.
All the kids that take wilderness survival will tell you it's their favorite class. I hope that our teachers, Stephanie and Angela, are listening, because that's everybody's favorite class. And they will tell their other teachers, your class is cool, but wilderness survival is cooler.
That's the one that made my son say that he had the best day of his life. He got to make fire.
They make fire. They cut down a tree this week. I walked outside and I was like, okay, there's no tree there. And there was. So I often go to that class and look around and just pray and leave, because they let the kids do really risky things. But we've only had one like minor injury, and it was just a kid cut his thumb. So they're safe, but it doesn't look like they're safe. But that is every kid's favorite class, because they are trusted with things that they may not have been trusted with somewhere else, and their confidence grows so much in that class. I love our wilderness survival class. I would say another one that the kids really love, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, Kat, is book club. I think book club has also become kind of a foundational, in the same way that wilderness survival has been kind of foundational to Thrive, so has book club. Reading aloud is so effective, and it builds so many skills. But I also think the kids just really love feeling like they had Miss Kat's full attention, like you're into it. They love that class. And then I have to say, any class that Mr. Jonathan teaches, I know neither of y'all's kids are old enough to take his classes yet, but there is something about the way that he teaches and the subjects that he teaches that our big kids just absolutely love. I don't know if it's because he's a man, or I think it's just that he teaches challenging material. He really challenges them and makes them think. Mock trial is kind of turning out to be the same way, where they showed up the first couple weeks and were like, oh, like we have to think in this class. So Mr. Jonathan's classes and mock trial, where they actually really have to use their brains and think outside the box a little bit. They're learning coding. He taught a philosophy class. He's teaching car maintenance right now.
I would like to take that class.
So you can just go stand over there and listen.
Go audit the
I
class.
know we started joking about like, when are we going to start offering classes for the moms?
Right.
Okay, but that's not a joke, because I want to do that if I can. Once I get Thrive to a point where I can like not be needed as much as I am, I want to do seminars that happen like while your kids are in class. You can go to a seminar similar to the one you guys taught at the expo. I would love to do that monthly.
That's a
That's
great
cool.
idea, but we also want the car maintenance class.
Oh yeah, okay. We can also teach you how to change your oil.
That would be great. Well,
I was
what
going to
is-
teach you how to like homeschool, but yeah, that'll work too.
So where do you see Thrive in 5 years? Like, what is your vision for what it looks like?
So I talked to our board about this, and where we landed is we want to just get really good at what we're doing.
I love that.
We're not trying to go and be in other cities. We're not trying to. We want to get really, really good at what we're doing. That includes socials and field trips, which I've been doing separate from Thrive, and we're kind of in the process of making that all one cohesive Gordon County homeschool community that I also run isn't going anywhere, but the field trips and socials are coming under the Thrive umbrella. I'm trying to do it kind of peacefully and slowly and not jar anybody's homeschool life. Just getting really good at having great socials, great field trips, great classes, and building a really strong community here in Gordon County, truly with the hope that stuff is born out of it. As an example, we have a teacher who teaches a nature class who is now taking that and almost like taking a tangent off of that to do her own co-op. That even if it did compete with Thrive would be fine, because that was part of what I wanted, was that there would be things that happen at Thrive that grow. And so instead of me feeling like we need to go and like we need to do all these things, Thrive needs to do all these things, we need to be really good at what we do, and we need to have a really strong community where people can go, I have this great idea, and I can say, you can go do it. Like, go do it. Thrive will support it. If you want it to be part of Thrive, that's cool, but I'm not doing any extra work for it. But you get the idea. Like, we're going to get really good at classes, socials, field trips. We're going to have that run like a well-oiled machine. We're not trying to be in any other cities. We're not trying to, we had all this big vision of like, we're going to have locations up and down 75. No, we're just going to kind of hang right where we are as far as size. We want to get really good at what we're doing.
I love that. That's awesome.
The hope is that it grows other ways. Like Miss Carnita, our theater teacher, is not back at Thrive because she's teaching theater. Like, that's what I want. Like, she met kids at Thrive and now she's teaching somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's great. But I do need another theater teacher.
Not it. I'll stick with what I know.
Me neither. Hey, your class is becoming a favorite. We've got 3 cooking classes now. I think the kids love to come to Thrive and cook.
It's
Yeah,
the
they do.
snacks.
And all they talk about in book club, is that they're ready to eat.
Yeah.
They're ready to go to their cooking classes and eat.
Yeah. They come hungry.
I will say this. I know we need to wrap up, but I'm going to say this. My vision, like if I had my way and like I had $1 million and I could do whatever I wanted, Thrive would buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have an actual kitchen to do cooking classes in. Each bedroom would be a classroom. We would have the whole backyard to build fires and cut down trees and
and plant trees too.
and plant trees and take nature walks. Like, if I had my perfect vision, if somebody has a house they want to donate to Thrive, that would be maybe not a 5-year goal, but like an ultimate, this is Thrive. I feel like we made it, would be that we have a home, an actual like house home.
When we get there, we'll play that clip of you saying that from the year of our Lord 2025.
Yes.
And we'll be like, oh,
And then I will
gosh, you did
retire.
it.
I'll be like, I did it. Who's taking over?
So that will be your homeschooling win in the future. But do you have a homeschooling win from Thrive, either from like this year or just as a whole, that really just like gives you encouragement and you can go back to that when you just need a little pick-me-up?
There are a lot. I'm trying to think of which one is.
I mean, I feel like you can share multiple. We make the rules here, so.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest win for me is how confident Thrive kids are. If they're not confident when we get them, they are by the end of 12 weeks, for the
Yeah.
most part. Some of them, it takes a little longer. Being in an environment where they chose a class, they're there because they're interested in it, is inevitably going to lead to a confidence boost because they're going to be good at it because they want
Yeah.
to do it. Being in an environment where the adults there, to a person, every adult at Thrive refuses to label kids as bad, as behind, as whatever. We don't label kids at Thrive. And for these kids who maybe came out of a school environment where they had a label, maybe they've been told somewhere else that they were something, and they show up at Thrive and we just see them as a Thrive kid. It's part of the reason they all wear shirts. I know that some kids hate the shirt, but it makes it all like we are all Thrive kids here. Nobody's behind, nobody's ahead, nobody's a behavior issue. We are all just Thrive kids. And seeing how we also demand kindness of everybody. Everybody's going to be nice. Respect. We don't just ask our kids to respect the adults there. The adults at Thrive are respectful of the kids. And I've seen both of you do it. There is a mutual respect. Not that we don't know who's in charge. It's obviously like you're the tallest person in the room, like you're the one in charge. But there's mutual respect. And it's shared learning. Like they know we're all kind of learning together. They blossom. And they thrive is really the word. They blossom under that kind of having adults believe in them. And so I watch kids go from some of them come into Thrive and will not even look me in the eye to 12 weeks later, maybe 24 weeks later, if it takes some kids a little longer, they are out sharing their opinion. And I walked into the mock trial class the other day and listened to a girl who, when she came to Thrive, would not speak. And she was holding her own, making her argument, making her point. And I was like, who's that kid? Because she wouldn't talk to me when she first came to Thrive. And that, I think, is the thing that gives me chills, is because I could not have manufactured that. I could not have been like, if we do ABC, then we'll get this result. It is what it is. And I know that it's unorthodox. I know that it's not what you normally think of when you think of a co-op. I know that it's not a normal learning environment. But that's A, not what I was trying to do. And B, what it does create is really stinking confident kids. And that's cool. I think that's really cool.
It is cool. And it is a win.
Yeah. Sorry, it was
Yeah.
a long win, but it was a
We
long-winded
like
win.
we like long-winded wins. We believe in
Good.
the wins. So, Betsy, if someone wants to find out more information about Thrive, can you tell us where they can find that? And we'll link it in the show notes too.
Yes, it's www.thrivenwga.com. It should be .org, but I messed up. It's .com. Or you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Better place to get info, actually, though, is the Facebook group. Just Thrive, Northwest Georgia Homeschool Enrichment. I know that's hard to find. Type in Thrive, you'll find it. And we're on Instagram, thrivenwga.com. And if you can't find any of that, send me an email to thrivenwga@gmail.com.
Right. And if somebody wants to follow you on the socials, where can they find you?
You can find me on socials at Brightside Homeschool on Instagram. And I'm not really, my Facebook's private. You have to actually be my friend to follow me there.
And where can the people find you, Kayla?
I am at ScratchMadeSimple _ on Instagram and at ScratchMadeSimple on TikTok. And Kat, where can they find you?
You can find me at Recreating Camp on Instagram and Facebook, and recreatingcamp.com. And if you know someone who is running a cool homeschool program in your area and we should be interviewing them and sharing that information, or anything cool that you think we should be talking about on the podcast, you can email us at hello@Homeschooling Down South. And if you enjoyed this episode, would you give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening? Or you could also send it to a friend if you think that they would enjoy it. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all. Thanks, Betsy.
Bye. Thanks, ladies.
And we'll love together, we'll learn together, explore this whole wide world together. No matter where we are, I have you, you have me, and today that's all